Hey, welcome to Tuesday Night Live. How's it going, guys? So, another week. Still feeling healthy, so I'm happy about that. Rolling into Christmas at a fairly rapid pace. But yeah, so who have we got in the room? Stephen Bunky Bird, waiting with bated breath. Thank you, sir. Andy Nickel, welcome along. Usually late, so I thought I'd jump in early. Well, good for you, man. Yeah, change is as good as a rest, eh? Beagle Bob's here. Very good. Good to have you along. Danny Boyd, g'day, mateys. Yep, it's the way it's pronounced. Cheers. This is actually my second glass. I have started having one with dinner with the in-laws. So, it's so I go face down on the keyboard. You know what? I don't think it'll come to that. Well, what's been happening, everybody? What you been working on, or you've been busy buying Christmas presents and shopping and stuff? It's just been another week of getting cars done and getting cars out. This past week, we got a few cars out. So yeah, it's been kind of fun. Felt like I got quite a bit done on the Alpine over the weekend. That was kind of cool. Feel like I've taken a step forward on it. You know, it's we've got a direction, which is good. You know, and I'm already kind of ahead to figuring out how I can make all the inner fenders kind of work and look nice when I get the rest of it in there. And ordered a Mustang 2 front end today, so yeah, it's coming together. Now, what else is going on? Danny Boyd, yep. Charles Dalton, hello, welcome along. Paul Funk, good to have you here. As you say, hit the like button. That would be good. Got to hit that like button. And you guys have been doing awesome at hitting the hype button. That last video got a bunch of hypes, which is all good. If you haven't figured it out, how to do the hype button, try and figure it out. It's on the same line typically as where you get the thumbs up or the thumbs down buttons. You might just have to swipe a little bit across to the right. But yeah, there's a hype button there, and you can hype it any videos you want up to 3 times a week. And obviously, it doesn't have to be my channel, but yeah, if you've got videos you particularly like, hit that hype button, because whoever it's for will appreciate it. So, but if you want to give me 3 hypes a week, I'll take it. Yeah. What else have we got here? Chris Freemas is in the house. Good to have you here, mate. Danny Boyd, I installed a GPU in my newish computer and a new SSD in my old computer, fixing it to put Ubuntu in it. Okay, Danny, can you translate? I don't know what the hell you just said. What the heck is a Ubuntu? Sounds a little adults only to me, but hey, Barracuda, hey, welcome along, bud. The computer nerds are getting involved. Chris Freeman said, Danny Boyd, have you considered Linux Mint? I would definitely go with Linux Mint if it was me. That's what I'd be putting in there, without a doubt. What the hell are they talking about, people? Danny Boy, Chris Freeman thought about it, but it looked like Ubuntu is better for me. Okay. Same under the skin, but the UI for Mint is a lot easier to deal with. Okay. Oh, Lord. So the off-topic topic is computer speak tonight, clearly already. We haven't even mentioned cars yet. Beagle Bob went with Fedora because it had KDE distro, and it's nice for a lifetime Windows user. Okay. Danny Boyd, damn, I'm in the middle of Ubuntu. I guess I can always try Mint later. Oh dear. Chris Freeman, Kiwi, we're talking about the various version of Linux, an alternative computer operating system that doesn't suck like Windows. Oh, okay. I've never heard of it, but yeah, I mean, I'm like Beagle Bob, a lifetime Windows user, only because I don't know any better. It's just what seems to always be there when I get a computer. So, Beagle Bob, it's computer software. Yeah, well, yeah. Tim Miller, hi everyone, and good to see. Where's it gone? It moved. Good to see Sunbeam needs. Good to see Sunbeam needs 5.0 and C5 overdrive trains and 8-inch rear. Mate, it's going to get a TKX. That's probably one of the few things that's decided is that it does get a TKX. Mrs. K wants a manual. She wants a 5-speed. So yeah, I'm happy with that. Much easier to do donuts with a manual, kicking the clutch and what have you. So yeah, an 8-inch rear. Still haven't ruled out the Miata rear suspension. Obviously the front's gone, but I would quite like to go with an independent rear, and obviously I've got that car sat there, what's left of that car sat there. So that's still an option to be kind of looked into a little bit deeper. It's a bit harder to see it, I need to get a little bit more done on it, and then we'll investigate the possibility of grafting that Miata rear into it, or somebody's independent rear. But and then the backstop obviously will be an 8-inch. Cheap and plentiful, strong enough for that little car. The problem you run into with the live rear axle, I'm not particularly against a live rear axle, except with that little short wheelbase and the engine reasonably well back, you end up with a very short drive shaft, which can be a problem when your diff's doing this and your drive shaft's going through quite a severe angle. Sorry, I painted myself today. So the drive, depending how long the drive shaft is, that kind of thing, you can run into difficulties with it running out of the ability, the U joints running out of the ability to give you the axle travel. So obviously with an independent, the pumpkin's fixed and the drive shaft doesn't really move other than a rotational direction. Right, Danny Boyd, sorry, computers are inside, so I work on them in the middle. Fair enough. Work them in the winter, that's what you mean, right? Barracuda, Linux Mint, Linux Mint sounds annoying like Bluetooth. Oh, okay. I have no idea. Tavo, hey, welcome along, but a few minutes late. Did I miss much? You missed some absolute invaluable information about computer software systems, which really I'm not quite sure how you're going to live without that, Tavo, but I suspect you'll survive. Josh Homan, good to be here. Good to have you here, mate. Mr. Freemason, Barracuda. Oh, hang on. Yeah, talking too fast, guys. Hang on. For somebody looking to ditch Windows and switch to something that respects your privacy, Linux Mint is a really good choice. Interesting. Yeah, well, I mean, I guess that's the thing now. The privacy thing is Danny Boyd, 5.0 and T5, or better yet, TKX. Yeah, TKX definitely. I'm not going to, like the T5 is, it's a tried and tested transmission, and it was an awesome transmission in the 80s. But think about that statement. It was an awesome transmission in the 80s. It's now 2025, almost 26. So it's an old transmission. It's not as quiet. It's not as nice to shift. The TKX is just a whole lot better. So when we're going this all out, on this car, and dropping some fairly serious money on a 331, I don't want to put a 30, 40-year-old design transmission behind it. I want it to be like silky smooth. So TKX it is. Danny Boyd, got to have a manual in a sports car like that. I agree. I mean, yeah, it's. I had an automatic Cobra and AC Cobra in the shop at one point, and it's like, no, just no. Yeah, got to be a stick shift. Chris Freemaster Tavo, nothing important, just us geeks talking about computers. Hey, it's all good. Tim Miller, Sticker Funnest, my 67 has top loader from the 80s is overdrive, but a top loader with overdrive. Interesting. Didn't know they made one of those. Danny Boyd, computers and cars are my main vehicles. Fair enough. Barracuda, how's things, Mr. Freemason? Ooh, close. Yeah, Freemason. Beagle Bob. What's Beagle Bob up to? I took the car off my lawnmower to rebuild it. Took enough stuff off my power stroke to diagnose and order replacement parts, and made room in my garage to finally do the last bit on my Mustang. Well done. You've been busy. That's awesome. Well done. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've worked on a whole bunch of different stuff, but most of it was everyone else's. So that's awesome to get all that stuff done on your own shit. That's awesome. Danny Boyd, overdrive top loaders. The SROD has an aluminum case, but single rail linkages. Okay. So is that the overdrive top loader? Is that like those old Mopar 4-speed overdrives where you had 1, 2, 3 like a 3-speed manual, and then like they actually went 1, 2, 4, and they made third into the overdrive, theoretically speaking. I know that's how Mopar did it. They kind of changed the shifter around, and the old third gear became an overdrive, and then they moved first and second up closer to fourth, like a 3-speed manual, and opened the gaps up a bit, and it became an overdrive 4-speed. So, but I didn't realise top loader did it. Charles Dalton, the only two things that came out of UC Berkeley are Linux and LSD. Coincidence. So UC Berkeley is famous for inventing LSD. Wow. Tavo, flaming drongo who couldn't drive a greasy stick up a dog clacker, arsing around in his Tonka truck. Nobody could get in or out of the servo. What are you talking about, Tavo? Did I miss a post? Oh, that's why you were a few minutes late. I got you. I get you. That is such an Aussie couple of sentences. A flaming drongo idiot who couldn't drive a greasy stick up a dog's clacker. Well, I think you can figure out what the dog's clacker is. I'm just translating for the rest of you guys. Arsing around or messing about, pissing about in his Tonka truck. So that's his Toyota truck probably, or little truck. Nobody could get in and out of the servo, which is the service station. There you go. Now you all understand what Tavo's on about. Tim Miller, I missed the talk I missed talk on the Sunbeam build. I was guy said beef up the under pannies like a race car, like race cars. Beef up the under. I didn't see that. Was that a comment you made? I didn't see that comment. I don't remember. Danny Boyd, Steve Leto got an automatic in his Kit Cobra, I think. Yeah, I mean, I guess if it's what you want. Yeah, I wouldn't be. I wouldn't be all against like a good paddle shift automatic. See Kevin Tate's Paintucation is putting a BMW paddle shift transmission, like a double, what do they call them, double clutch deal, it's a real paddle shift behind his LS and his Camaro. So I'm kind of interested to see how that goes how that works, mating up a BMW trans behind an LS in an old Camaro. So that'll be one worth watching. Josh Homan, I once saw a cartoon showing a way to use Linux users to generate renewable energy. Oh, I can only imagine. Jeff Hutchins, just had my last customer leave. Very good. An Oregon State trooper who has gotten into machining guns. Oh, wow. Had to pull the barrel on a Ruger #1 so that he can thread it for a suppressor for his buddy/customer. Wow. Okay. Why does someone need a suppressor on a Ruger, sorry. You don't do that to go hunting with, do you? Danny Boyd, SROD top loader used in Fox bodies and even F-150s. Interesting. There you go. Single rail overdrive. Huh. Where'd that go? Danny Boyd, yes, a 3-speed plus overdrive fourth. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't know how else you do that. So it's not a bad idea, really. If you've got, if you're driving a car with a reasonable amount of torque, you can kind of get away with that 3-speed manual pretty comfortably. Not so good for little rice burner, 1600 cc, screamers. They're not so good at a 3-speed, but for an F-150 or a Mustang, yeah, it'd be fine. Tim Miller, 4-speed top loader was an 80s gas mileage trans. Fourth gear is the same spot on the H-pad. Yeah. Yep. J Rose 49, great job you do. If anyone has an insight on a 50s through early 70s Ford or Chevy in Northern California, stock only, no purple paint jobs. That's quite a window of cars, 50s through early 70s, Ford or Chevy. You shouldn't, that shouldn't be hard to find somewhere in that mix. Andy Nickel, too damn cold to work on my car, so I'm just doing my job, working on vintage Chet Aitken. I know Chet Aitken, or no, I've heard of Chet Aitken's. That's a guitar Kiwi. The old celluloid binding is disintegrating. Well, yeah, I'll bet. Gosh, how do you fix that? You have to, celluloid binding. Okay, first you have to explain to me exactly what celluloid binding is. Is that like the lacquer finish type thing, or is that something else? It brings celluloid binding makes me think of, like the gloss finish on the guitar. Paul Funk, a sports car with an automatic is like driving a Lincoln with a Lincoln. That would be pretty wild. Stephen Bunky-Bird, good to see you, Kiwi. Well, I can't see you, but yeah, you know what I mean. Good to have you here. Beagle Bob, Tonka is a brand of toy trucks for children. Think giant tires and silly lift. Yeah, I mean, we had Tonka toys back in when I was a kid in New Zealand. So yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Granddad's Junk, welcome along, man. Good to have you here. G'day, Kiwi Brotherhood. Sunbeam looking good. Yeah, I was pretty happy with the way that it's a little left field, fitting an old, 60-year-old Mustang, chassis and torque boxes into it. But I mean, it's the Sunbeams are 61, designed in the 50s. So it's kind of a 10-year upgrade, really. But I think it's going to work out well. I really do. So yeah, but time will tell. Hey Tony, this is Chris Freemesser. Hey Tony, good job pissing off the Aussies by feeding a bird. All right, I'm missing something there. I'm not sure what you're meaning there. Barracuda, I had a Ruger 1022. I sold it when I thought it was about to become illegal in New Zealand, but it didn't turn out that way. Okay. Hang on. Screen tore down again. Let me just get back to where I was. Okay, Jeff Hutchins, my 98 BMW 328i came with a GM transmission. Oh, really? Huh. Well, that's a full circle then, isn't it? Tim Miller, yes, you said my name is good thing. You said my name is good thing. Put pipe, buy a door pillar, rebuild it stronger and safer. I put the box tube in MGB too. Oh, I remember now. Yeah, sorry. I thought you meant you had commented something like that on the last video I did. But yes. Yeah, no, that was a good idea. Yeah, and I've got the box section to go in the. I haven't got it actually. I've ordered it. It should be around. Should have been here today, but hey, it wasn't. But I've got the box tube to go in the rocker in the sill. So yeah, doing that. That'll probably be. I'll be showing that in the next video, I think. Yeah. What do we got here? J Rose, truck CK10 or 20. Oh, C10 or 20, Sacramento area. Yep. Not a bad area to buy a vehicle from. Charles Dalton, as far as cars go, I did get the oil and filter change on my wife's car, but the rest was more home improvement. Well, got to hear everything all. Yeah, there's usually a little bit of pressure coming from some part of the family to have the house all in order for Christmas and that kind of thing. So, got to be done. Tavo, I keep slipping behind here. Lots of harvesting going on, and the tractors are sucking the bandwidth out of. The tractors are sucking the bandwidth out of the cell network. I'm running about 1.2 Mbps. Huh, the tractor? Oh, okay, because they're all hooked in with the internet, aren't they? Tractor's not really a tractor anymore, is it? In the old school Massey Ferguson days. Granddad's junk. Those Kias are the funniest wild bird. They really are. They're cheeky as anything. They're as you say, destructive. They wreck everything, even the rubber on your car. Yeah, they'll eat the rubber out of your sunroof, off your wiper blades. They like rubber. I mean, I can't explain why, but they do. Single rail overdrive would have been better if they didn't have the 1-to-1 third gear. Why must a transmission have a direct? Well, okay, I can answer that one for you. Because top gear or direct drive, whatever you want to call it, or fourth gear, or in the SROD case, the third gear, it's direct. It's not a gear. There isn't a ratio. It's just locking the input shaft to the output shaft. They just lock them together. They go the same speed. It's not going, across two gears to reduce the ratio, and then, like from the input across the gear to the cluster, and then back to the output shaft. That's where you get your reduction or your overdrive. Whereas 1-to-1, direct drive is just locking the input to the main shaft or the output shaft. So it's having a gear ratio without having any gears. Most 4-speeds only, strictly speaking, only have 3 gears in them. Because you have a first gear ratio, a second gear ratio, and a third gear ratio. But top gear is direct drive. It's 1-to-1, so it's a free gear, so to speak. That's why they always have a direct drive. You don't see many transmission unless it's a real high performance transmission where all the gears are either a gear down or a ratio, bringing the ratios down, or in some cases, a couple of gears going up. But typically, as I say, that it takes no more room in the transmission to have a 1-to-1 drive. If you have a 6-speed manual with no direct drive, then you need 6 sets of ratios inside it. Whereas if one of them is 1-to-1, you just need 5. So that's the explanation for that. Beagle Bob, my wife made lots of Christmas cookies. Unfortunately, the dog ate some. Had to go to the vet to empty his. Ah, no. The joys of the holiday season. Oh dear, naughty dog, naughty dog. Chocolate cookies, I guess, were they? Yeah, the dogs don't like. Well, they do like chocolate, but it's not good for them. Jeff Hutchins, suppressor even makes high-powered rifles much quieter, much easier on your ears while hunting. Okay, getting to be really popular. Well, yeah, certainly that rifle shot will scare off any animals nearby, won't it? So, yeah, okay, that makes sense. I get that. I'll take that. Accept that. Granddad's junk. I got the 54 custom line home last night. The video is nearly finished uploading. Oh, cool. I'm going to watch that one. Very Cooter. If I came along and wrecked things on your car, would I be funny? Probably not, no. I mean, the Kias aren't funny to anyone who's had their rubber pieces on their car shredded, but it's kind of funny to watch videos of it. But yeah, not so funny when you're paying the money to get it fixed. Any nickel binding is the plastic trim around the edge. I have to carefully pick it off and replace it with new. No, it's shot up too far. Hang on. Oh, there we go. There it is. No, it's not. There we go. Binding is plastic trim around the edge. I have to carefully pick it off and replace it with new white outer binding with a thin black purfling strip. There you go. Sounds like a job requiring patience. Granddad's chuck, only if it's Japanese. Jeff Hutchins, Gary Cooter, can't beat a Ruger 1022 unless you get one of the many high-end copies. Okay. Beagle Bob, expresses being so restricted up to this point is like if mufflers were outlawed, utterly pointless for people who just want some peace and quiet. Well, yeah. Gary Pritchard, you're taking on a big job with the Sunbeam and you still end up with a Sunbeam. Well, yes, because that's the desired end result. I want it to look like a Sunbeam, but I want it to look like the Sunbeam Alpine's beefy, brawnier, sexier looking, cousin. So yeah. But I mean, some people are going to wonder why on earth I'm doing it. And that thought has crossed my own mind, I'll be honest with you. But hey, it's something different, and that's hard to achieve these days. And yeah, it should be a cool little car. Granddad's junk. Chris Kiwi, I was feeding the Kias at Arthur's Pass. Good on you, mate. Good on you. They're very tame's not the right word. They're not tame, but they're very confident around humans, aren't they? They're not scared of humans, really. Barry Cooter, yes, Jeff, very good. It jammed every now and then, but not when I started using those Fiochi bullets. Okay. Paul Bruno, hey, Kiwi and everyone. Hey, welcome along, mate. Good to have you here. Andy Nickel, as the name suggests, binding binds the top or back plates to the sides. Okay. Purfling is the thin decorative strips between the binding and the wood. Everything's got a name, isn't it? Yeah. That's kind of cool. I've never really, funny what you don't think about, and I didn't think about that. What's holding the sides to the tops and the bottom and the base. So now I know. That's cool. Beagle Bob, I found all of my F-150 parts, so I can do my front shocks and put the posi unit in it. Good stuff. Very cool. 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 That'll make it more fun. Gary Pritchards, I had a Sugar 1022. It wouldn't hit a bull in the ass. That's not sort of saying a lot about it, is it? Hang on, what do we got here? J Rose, love the 1022, but how did this get introduced into a car enthusiast channel? Mate, I think we talk more about all sorts of other stuff than cars, to be honest. Yeah, it's funny how that works. Yeah, I mean, some nights we get, we do a lot more car stuff, and other times it's, yeah. If you were just tuning in for the first time, you'd wondered what was going on. Beagle Bob, yes, chocolate cookies. Oh dear. So the dog, I assume the dog's okay. Hopefully. Barracuda, an employer of mine some years ago had a Sunbeam Rapier. Yeah, I remember the Sunbeam Rapiers. They were like a little fastback two-door hardtop car. They were not a bad thing for a British car. Tim Miller, I've had the shop heat on and been sanding my 70 Mac 1. It's all new panels, and the last door came out of the box damaged, but to ship back was a lot. So it was twisted. Yeah. Well, usually you can untwist them usually, unless they're like really horrible. But we just hung the doors on Swiss cheese today, and one of them came out of the box with a bit of damage. And one with no damage has a twist in it, which is really, honestly, it's just grabbing onto it and, doing a bit of a heave and twist, and, they're not hard to just take the twist out of them, really. Barracuda, because J Rose. Kiwi is very enthusiastic about guns. Yeah. What can I say? It's never been a thing for me. I've fired a couple of different guns, but yeah, and it's kind of, oh yeah, that was fun. And if I don't fire another one again, that's okay. Paul Funk, we like to complain about the weather in here as well. Yeah, well, actually today was pretty nice. We were in the 50s today. It really was pretty mild. A couple of days ago, however, it was freezing. I think we were minus 16. I think we got down to. So that's a bit cold. And of course, some guy came in. That was Monday morning, and some guy rocked in, and sure enough, he wanted me to lay down and look under his truck at the suspension. I was like, oh my God, this is freezing. I'm going to get frostbite. Jeff Hutchins, I remember to hit the like button without being reminded. Good on you, mate. See, you can teach an old dog new tricks. Well done. Dynamax, hey Kiwi from Levin. Very nice little town. Really enjoy all of your posts, but particularly like the Sunbeam build. Using a Mustang floor pan is genius and makes sense on so many levels, Steve. Well, cheers, mate. Thank you. I mean, I really think it does, especially as I'm not going for that all hand. Although there will be a lot of hand fabrication, and I want it to look as factory as possible. And I don't know. Can't even really explain why. That's just what I want. So the option of having, a factory stamped floor pan is very appealing. And like I said in the video, the price is like $276. Well, it's cheap, and for the labor saving, it's fabulous. I could make like a hand fabricated floor pan, and I could make it look very nice. That's not the issue. But it would look like, it doesn't matter who does it or how good they are. A hand fabricated floor pan is going to look like a hand fabricated floor pan. Same with the firewall. You can make some really nice firewalls, but the factory stamping is always going to look like a factory stamping. So yeah, that's what I went with. And same, even the frame rails. The frame rails don't look. I did toy around with the idea of using some, excuse me, some 2x3, rectangular steel, and making up those front rail parts, much like Mustang's Tafia do it. That's how they do their front clip, and theirs is a very nice piece. I'm not mean to take away from it, but you can tell it's not factory. It's an aftermarket piece. As slick as it is, it still looks like an aftermarket piece. So I really do want this car to look. Someone's got it up on the rack. No one's going to say this is a kit car. This is a home built car. But yes, Steve, Dynamax, thanks for the kind words. I appreciate it. Gary Pritchard, just having a go at you about the Sunbeam Kiwi. Merry Christmas. Yeah, it's all good fun. I mean, the feedback has been very positive about that car. So, I expect to get a few haters, but they really haven't come out of the woodwork as yet. But we'll see. I know some people would like me to put something other than a small block Ford in it, but that's the choice I've made. It makes the most sense to me, and that's the key thing. It makes the most sense to me, and it's my build, so that's what I'm going to do. A turbo 4-cylinder Mustang engine makes a lot of sense, but not to me. There's a lot of merits for it, but it doesn't matter what you do or how much horsepower you get out of it, it's never going to sound like a V8, and I want that car to sound like a V8. The only way to do that is put a V8 in it. People have suggested V6s. It's like, no, I'm not going to. A V8's not that much bigger than a V6, so if I'm going to go to that much and this much trouble, it's going to be a V8. People Bob, she's okay. Oh, that's good. I caught her when she was still eating. 8 and even doesn't. Oh my lord. Had 10 more in front of her. Got her to the vet pretty quick. Yeah, you would have had to. Wow, she had 10 to go. Wow, that wouldn't have been good. GF Hutchins, David Tyree. Sarkos are my second favourite hunting rival. Pronounced Sarko. Okay. They get mad if you say Seiko. Yeah, I bet they do. They reply with, "We don't make watches." Do they really? That's pretty funny. Snow Crusher, hey, welcome from all the way from Canadistan. Good to have you here. I was talking to some Canadians today up at oh gosh, what's it called? The I've gone blank. The Canadian company that make all the suspension parts and Mustang 2 front kits. Welder Series. Paul Horton, I think his name is. Paul Horton's Welder Series. Good pricing. Good pricing. I mean, they've been slapped with some tariffs, which is going to bump the prices up a bit. Welcome to America. But hey, it's the price is right, and you can buy them. You don't have to buy a whole kit from them, which is advantageous because I've got so many. Like I've got a spare Mustang 2 rack. I've got brakes, so I don't need brakes with my front suspension kit. I've got spindles, so it's 3. So I don't need all that stuff. I really just need a cross member and wishbones, and that's it. I've got coilover shocks sitting on the shelf. I don't need a whole kit. And Welder Series, you just buy the piece, or one piece or as many as you want. Pretty good and very good pricing. Tavo, I've been having fun trying to repair the kid's mother's Honda. Nudged a tree in it, and it has like a secondary structural rail from the bumper running to the top of the strut tower. Amazing when you bend that in and up a bit, how many other parts of the car shift and bend that 1/4 inch with it. Miss the main chassis rub by 1/2 inch. Well, that's helpful, but yeah, still not nothing, is it? Getting all that stuff lined up. Paul Funk, it was in the 50s here too. Yeah, today wasn't quite t-shirt weather, but it wasn't far off. Tim Miller, has anyone here about the parts makers' brands are in trouble, may cause parts harder? No, haven't heard about that. I'm not surprised. I have to say, if I'm honest, that parts are too cheap now. So it doesn't surprise me that some of the makers are in trouble, because they're all trying to compete with each other. They're all trying to undercut each other. Quality is going out the window, and it's just the bottom line. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see a few parts manufacturers walk away because they've just cut each other to ribbons and not left themselves any margin for a profit, which we'd like the parts to be free, but realistically, the people making them have to make a profit. That's the whole idea. That's why you have a business, is to make a profit. So yeah, I would like, I'd be okay. I wouldn't. I wouldn't. My wallet wouldn't like paying more for parts, but I would certainly like to see some better quality of parts and the prices be a little bit higher. Because as soon as you do something twice, well, there goes the benefit of a cheap part. Okay, hang on. Shot down the page again. There we go. Yeah, so Granddad's junk. Tamo, no major bother, just put it into the plastic recycling. You're not a fan of jet cars, are you, Granddad's junk? Good for you, man. That's fine. Never heard anyone pronounce it Seiko. Well, no. Tavo, yeah, everything you explained in the video, the Mustang floor pan makes every bit of sense. Well, thanks, man. It did to me. I just was hoping I was explaining it in a way that you guys could understand it. So I did. It would appear so. That's cool. Good to know. Jay Rose, I don't watch Kiwi for his. Hang on, what's that? But I don't watch Kiwi for his stance on 2A. I watch because he is, my opinion, a master course on metalworking theory and experimental execution of things. Well, wow, thank you. I appreciate that. I don't watch Kiwi for his stance on 2A. What's 2A? Second Amendment. Second Amendment. Okay, I got you. Sorry, took a moment. Look, I'm not against guns. It's just I just didn't grow up with them, and like people come into the shop carrying, it spooks me. I'll be honest, it spooks me. I have trouble like not looking at the gun they're wearing, and I'm like, holy shit, this is surreal when you come from Sleepy Little New Zealand. So, I'm not against the Second Amendment, but again, not a political channel. So, yeah. But yes, kind words. So thank you for that. Gary Pritchard, how did you find a Mustang floor pan not rusted out? I found it on the internet. Obviously, I'm sure you knew that. Yes, just new reproduction parts. Yeah. Although I have got a Mustang in the shop right now, like today, which I had on the channel a couple of years back, and it's one of the very, very few I've seen that has got zero rust in it. It's got all its original floor pans. They're not even thin. It's kind of pretty much like the day it came out of the factory. So they do exist, but it's pretty hard to find. Tim Miller, put door on and put strap to move weld inside and body glue on the inside. Okay. Barracuda, 99.89, I had a bit of an incident in Levin. I put my foot down hard in the Pacer hard top and got out of there. Hang on, Pacer hard top. I thought the Pacer was only in a 4-door. What was what model was the Pacer hardtop? I'm sure you're right. I mean, you were driving it, but that's a little confusing for me. Tavo, small block Ford is the right engine for all the right reasons. 101% with you on that whole build, Kiwi. Fellow boomer. Hello, boomer. Yep, that's us, mate. Boomers. Just ask my daughter. She tells me that all the time. You're just a boomer, Dad. Yep, proud of it. Jeff Hutchins, I come here because we talk all kinds of stuff, not just cars. If you're not really careful, you'll learn something. Yeah. Mate, I usually learn something. So, yeah, exactly. Granddad's junk, Kiwi, brother, the only thing better would be a small block Mopar. Yeah. If they'd ever put one in, then that's that would make it a lot easier choice. And I know Chrysler did end up owning them eventually, but that was after the Sunbeam Tiger was born, so to speak. So yeah. That's actually what finished the Sunbeam Tiger, because when Chrysler took it over, they did not want the Ford motor in any of their products. So that spelt the death of the Sunbeam Tiger. Andy Nicol, nearly all guns in Canada are legal, but the non-lethal versions are getting so good, they may not kill you, but you'll definitely think twice if you're hit. Well, that's not so terrible. Chris Freeman, Mrs. Kiwi wants 8 cylinders of pure unadulterated anger. She gets 8 cylinders of pure unadulterated anger. So it's written, so it shall be done. I'm going to take a stab here, a wild guess, and say, Mr. Freemesser, I suspect you're married. So you understand. Actually, it's really not like that. She certainly likes a lot of power. She really wouldn't bother her too much how it was produced. It could have been a twin turbo Ecotec V6 making the same horsepower, and she'd have been quite happy. The sound is a me thing. And she does like she loves the sound of the Audi. So she does like the sound of a V8, but she just likes a nice sound. It doesn't have to be a V8, because some V6s do sound pretty awesome. But yeah, she's certainly got a set of specs for the car, what she wants, and no point building her something she doesn't want. Charles Dalton, your work on the Sunbeam is outstanding. I wrote on the vid, you're taking on something that most would run from. Very true. Yes, I am. And some days I feel like I should also be running, but I feel like the kind of back of it's almost broken now. So I'm feeling a lot more positive about it. But yeah, it's definitely been it's a task for sure. And if I had my time to go over, I would have taken the advice that I give to a lot of my customers is buy a better car to start with. But at the time when I was looking for that car, there was really hardly any around. And now there's there's like half a dozen for sale on Facebook Marketplace within a couple of 100 miles of me, and it's like, damn it. So, but yeah, there's sort of no challenge is too big. That's my mentality, and it does get me into trouble a little bit at times. It's certainly created a bit more work for myself, but at the same time, I was going to cut the hell out of it anyway. So why, slice and dice a really good car when, and throw half of it away when, I've only thrown about a quarter of it away because the other quarter had rusted away. So, don't feel so bad. Barracuda with all the wild animals in Canada. I wouldn't like not having a rifle. It'd definitely make you think a bit more about where you were walking, for sure. Jeff Hutchins, Kiwi, you talk to Canadians? Just kidding. I like all of the Canadians I've met, but most of them were from the Western provinces. No French accent at all. Yeah, I haven't interacted with any French Canadians, but yeah, I have heard some not so positive things about the French Canadians, but I don't know. I've not experienced it firsthand, so I'm sure they're lovely people as well, but the French in France can be a little hard to deal with at times, but for the most part, they're lovely people as well. But some of them do get a bit butthurt that you can't speak French. But it's the minority, to be fair. It's the minority. Most of them get it and are just quite happy to see someone from another country, from somewhere else. Even New Zealanders, because the French and the New Zealanders didn't always see eye to eye. Barracuda and the Kiwi lads here will know what I'm talking about. Chris Freemesser, I think he's talking about First Brands. They own like 25 different auto parts brands, and they're in trouble financially. Okay. Hang on. Okay. Yep. Here we go. Snow Crusher. Yes, Paul Horton has been around near as long as Tim Horton. Both great. Yes. Andy Nichols. The Canadian dollar is so weak now; it's nearly 50 cents on the dollar US. It's great for you, but the parts I have to get from the States are way too expensive. Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? The Canadian dollar is probably very similar to the New Zealand dollar because that's around there-ish, and it's great if you're buying something out of New Zealand, but man, getting something from the States and New Zealand is expensive because at least with Canada you're pretty close, you throw a stone across the border, but New Zealand you got a heck of a lot of shipping to do. Tavo, if I were allowed to have a pellet propelling device, much easier than I can, I would have one or two. Used to be able to buy them over the counter in Kmart if you're over 16. Oh, wow. Granddad's Junk, I think VG, and then Tavo saying VG was the only model pacer in a hardtop. Wow, that's weird. I do not remember. The first pacer I remember is like the VH, VG, the VH, I think it was. So the VG is the very square one, isn't it? And then they went to the Valiant Ranger body shape, which they made a pacer, but that was a 4-door sedan. But yeah, I have no recollection of a VG like 2-door hardtop pacer. Wow. I have to go and look for a picture of one. Would have been a good looking car, I'm sure. Hansabar. How do you value aftermarket replacement metal for commonly rotted areas like wheel wells? Are there gotchas? Mate, the gotcha is that they typically don't fit very well. And you've got to have some skills to make them fit. It's not like like you cut it off and the piece you go to replace it with is going to fit perfectly. It's not. Unfortunately, they build them down to a price. All that reproduction stuff, and the quality suffers. There's better products out there, better brands than others. AMD are particularly good and working very hard at being the top of the pile as far as quality goes. Not top of the pile price-wise. They're not going to be the cheapest or even second or third cheap. They're probably going to be the highest. But you save yourself a lot of heartache and a lot of work paying some more for a really good product. So yeah, I would go looking for AMD stuff first, and then work your way back down the price. Like if you want a lower quarter repair panel for a Mustang, or a Camaro, whatever it is, don't shop for the cheapest one. Seriously think about shopping for the most expensive one you can buy, and trust in the fact that it's going to pay off. Yeah. Snow Crusher, Pacer 2-door, one door 3 inches longer than the other. Different Pacer, Snow Crusher. There, what those boys are talking about is a Valiant Pacer, which was an Australian-built car. The Pacer you're talking about is the AMC Pacer, and you're absolutely right. One door was longer than the other, make it easier to get into the back, and yeah, it's you're not wrong, but you're talking about two different vehicles. Barracuda VG Pacer hardtop, a dart body. Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. The VG was what I thought was. Yeah, I didn't know. I just genuinely. I'm sure I probably did see one, but I just don't have a recollection of it. It was a while ago, though, to be fair. Tim Miller, oil filters, S-Comp, that has Fram and brakes, etc. The stock market needs someone to save it. Penny for dollars, sale off, right? Yeah. It's interesting that one of the big ones is in trouble, the first brands. Honestly, that's it's probably a little bit of the shake up the market needs. It's a little bit it's a little top heavy on manufacturers, and it's making the market, sounds counterintuitive, but it's making the market a little too competitive. I went to get a speedo cable the other day I went looking for one for this Mustang I got in the shop, because the one that was on it was leaking, and the cheapest one I could find, which I just did a filter, high low, and actually went high low, not low high, because I wanted a good one that didn't leak. And yeah, the most expensive one was like $50, and the cheapest one was $7.90 for a complete speedo cable, with the molded ends on and the inner and outer, $7.90, and that was off Summit. And Summit, it's fairly well accepted that they double the price of pretty much anything they sell. That's the margin they expect. If they're selling it for $100, they paid $50 for it. So does that mean they paid, $3 something for the speedo cable? And what kind of quality are you going to expect for $3 product? It doesn't add up, really. You think about it, doesn't add up. It's kind of cool. Wow, $7, $7.90 for a speedo cable. That's bargain. I'll buy it. But tell you what, that's what was in the car, and it was leaking and leaking badly. So we got an expensive one, and guess what? It doesn't leak. And it leaked to the point that it leaked enough that it went from 3 quarts of oil in the transmission, it leaked down to 1 quart of oil in the transmission. And the result of that was the transmission overheated, and it damaged the synchro cones. So, yeah, saved $40 on a speedo cable. Cost them a lot more than that to rebuild the transmission. I just look at some parts and go, it does not compute in my head that it can be $7.90 or $8 for a wheel cylinder or something like that. And they're too cheap, and you're going to pay. You're going to pay, and you won't be happy. Jeff Hutchins, Mopar engine in English cars was pretty common. I know Kiwi knows the story. Yeah, Jensen Interceptor's the one that springs to mind, quickly. Granddad's Giant Kiwi, I didn't know that Chrysler took over Sunbeam. Yeah, Sunbeam became part of Roots Group, like ROOTES, Roots Group, and that was part of Chrysler. Yeah. Gary Pritchard, put a 3.8 Buick, small, ultra reliable. It can get good horse. It will have one good part. Oh mate, no, not a 3.8 Buick V6. No, I couldn't. And I'm really not ragging on the engine. I do believe it was a pretty good engine, but no. Tim Miller, Pacer was AMC. Pacer was also Valiant, mate. It was also a Valiant. And Google Valiant Pacer, and it'll come up. And it's they're Australian built, designed and built really, and not something you really see here in the States. Yeah. So you are correct. Pacer was made by AMC. You're absolutely correct. Wayne's World and all that, the AMC Pacer, that's a real thing. But there was also a Valiant Pacer. Tavo, Granddad's Junk. Sunbeam was part of Roots Group. Hillman, Humber, etc. Chrysler bought them entirely. Yep, exactly right. Chris Freemasser, Pacer in the North America and Down Under are two completely different things. Yeah. Yep. And when you don't know, you don't know. And none of us here have all the answers. That's the one thing where you can say with absolute certainty here. Beagle Bob, what gear ratio are you going with? 355, probably around that, a 350, maybe a 370. I have to do a little bit of math because we're only running 15-inch wheels on it, so they're not super tall. If we were running 17s, which would be too big for that car, but if we were running 17s, I'd probably definitely go 350. 370, sorry. But possibly with the little 15, they're 225 50 15s going on. So it's not a big wheel. So it's going to bring your RPMs up. So yeah, probably around that 350 would be a pretty good bet, I would say. Tim Miller, Pacer was a John Denver movie. Talk to God. Ooh, you shut up the page. God damn it. Oh, here we go. Pacer was a John Denver movie. Talk to God, and it rated in car for proof. Huh. Okay. Granddad's joke. Tavo, I knew Hillman, but not the others. Yeah. Yeah. Anything Hillman, as Tavo said, Humber. Any that family was, Chrysler. Sean Leaf Green. Hello from Nebraska. Hello from Franklin. Good to have you here, mate. Hansabar. Thanks, man. Thank you. Barry Cooter, our current New Zealand government is being a lot more fair to firearms owners. Okay. Be interesting to know what you mean, what you see as more fair to not arguing with you. Please don't misunderstand me. Yeah, I mean, obviously, being fair about something is somewhat subjective. So it'd be kind of interesting to see what you see as being more fair. Charles Dutton, have a good evening or day, depending where you all are. Thanks for the education on the 1-to-1 ratio transmission. So I learned something today. Well, cool, man. That's awesome. That's awesome. See you all next week. Indeed. Thanks for stopping in. Barry Cooter, before I bought back my VG Pacer hardtop from Brisbane, I'd only seen one in New Zealand before in Hemi orange. Mine was that colour too. Okay. So it was not a model we saw much in New Zealand, huh? Well, makes sense. Paul Funk, common theme among automotive YouTubers is that quality of parts is going downhill. I don't know how it couldn't be. I mean, if there's a YouTuber on there saying that the quality of parts is getting better, I'd be seriously concerned about that guy. Like, I don't know how you could be in the industry and not believe the parts are going downhill. Yeah, because there's always opinions about everything and differing opinions, but that particular statement is so accurate. I don't know how anyone could argue that. And if they're saying they're getting better, I think they're not really in the automotive industry. They're just pretending to be and YouTubing it. Anyway, Jeff Hutchins, Pacer is Australian for beer or something like that. I saw a commercial once. Really? That's a new one on me. Pacer is Australian for beer. Well, Tavo might be able to confirm or deny that. Tavo, Jeff Hutchins. The stuff was an absolute insult to the car. 2.8% alcohol. Okay, so it was a beer. Chavo, they had the car on the can. Oh, good Lord, really? See, I mean, yeah, Charles Dalton learned something tonight. Kiwi learned something tonight. I had no idea there was a beer called Pacer in Australia. Low out two-stroke as well. Beagle Bob, are there still good tyre options for 15-inch wheels? Would 16 not leave much room for rubber? The 15 was more to do with the wheels than the tyre. Some nice chromed wheels are, you can get, believe it or not, you get 13s and 14s, and 15s are harder to get, the chrome wires. And yeah, there's a certain amount being made in 17s, but the car's just too small to go to 17s. And I certainly haven't seen any 16-inch wire wheels. So yeah, as much as I'd like to have had a 295 or something like that rear tire on it, 225 50 15s was really, they're not, it's not great diameter for tire sizes, but that 225 50's got a reasonable amount of sidewall, so it's not a rubber band tire, so that looks more in keeping with a classic car. In actual fact, the sidewall profile is probably as high as the old 13-inch wheels that used to have on it, because that car came from the factory with 13-inch wheels, which is slightly bigger than a wheelbarrow wheel. So to go to 17s is a massive jump from 13s, as far as the car size and shape just supporting that diameter wheel. So yeah, 15s it was, and yeah, it's a shame you can't get a little bit wider, but I've not come across a wider tire. Actually, I tell a lie, because Kevin Tates has got 250 15s on his Miata, but they're a real like a drag slick type of tire. And while the width is there, I can't get the wire wheels in a wide enough rim. The wire wheels, the biggest they made was a 7-inch, and that restricts you to the 225. The 250 or 255 15 is too wide for a 7-inch wheel. So that's how we came to that. Snow Crusher. AMC Pacer front suspension swaps into street rods in the 80s was common. Then Mustang 2 suspension took over, probably due to being more common. I didn't not know that about the AMC Pacer. Certainly would have been a lot more common. Yeah, okay, interesting. Chris Freemester, the commercial was for Foster's. They advertise themselves here as the Australian beer. Yeah, I think I may have seen those ads. Remember they used to sponsor the Formula One Grand Prix. Barry Cooter, I like Foster's. You know, I don't know any Australians that like Foster's. I mean, they sell the stuff. Somebody must be drinking it. So, yeah, I bought some Fosters locally here for some Australian friends we've got over here in Franklin. And their response was, "Oh, God, we don't drink that shit." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Thought I was being kind of friendly, but yeah, apparently they saw it as a dreadful beer. And their comment was that no real Australians drink Fosters. It's terrible. So, I don't know. Jeff Hutchins, my oldest son has a diesel shop. He's always complaining about parts quality and availability. A lot of the 90s diesel trucks parts are becoming obsolete. Yep, that would be right. Which sucks because they're the best ones. Yeah. 90s is a very difficult decade. I would not really want to own a vehicle from the 90s. They're too old for new stuff, for factory stuff, and they're too young, too new for the aftermarket part of the industry to be making stuff for. Because most of the 90s cars just have no value. There's no classic value to them, and there's no, near new car value to them. I mean, even 2000s. I mean, anything made in the 2000s is technically a fairly old car, but they're still pretty good cars. But 90s is that's hard. Just no support for them. Jess Phuket, the 406 lives and she sounds nasty. Well, that's awesome, mate. Congratulations. Well done. That's very cool. David Tyree, Barracuda, you're a sick man. Yeah, see, there's another Foster's hater. I'm not a big fan of Foster's. I find it like too obviously beer is meant to be bitter. But Foster's to me is very bitter. It's harsh. It's not a beer I like. So consequently, if anyone needs a probably out of date couple of cans of Foster's, let me know, because I've got some in the fridge that I'm really having trouble getting rid of. So yeah. Jeff Hutchins, still a lot of cars and trucks running around on 15-inch wheels. Yeah, it's not hard to get the regular sizes, but getting high-performance tyres in 15-inch is getting harder. You've got, BF Goodrich have got the hot rod guys taken care of, kind of thing. Not a lot else. Like a 225/50 is. I think BF Goodrich make one, but I didn't really want to use BF Goodrich, to be honest. To me, that's an American car tire. I think they're Toyos. Toyos? I'm guessing. Honestly, I can't remember what brand tire we've got on the Sunbeam wheels. Hansabar, just realised Leno's Law died. Boo. What are you talking about there, Hansabar? Leno's Law died. What are you talking about there, bud? Josh Homan, even though Australians don't like the stuff. No, they don't. Barracuda, this poor quality part situation is getting to be of concern. Yeah. And it's just there's too much. Everyone's undercutting everyone and they're just trying to make the shit for nothing. And someone in China comes in with a bid for, 10,000, F-150 wheel cylinders at $1 each, then that's who gets the sale. And the fact they last 6 months doesn't seem to matter to anyone. Like if someone comes back under warranty, they just give them another set, send them on their way. It's not good. Chris Freemasser, correct me if I'm wrong, but VB is the popular beer in Australia. Yes, VB is fairly popular. Yeah, I used to like Tui's when I lived in Aussie for a little while, and I like Tui's. So Tavo, I'm sure Tavo will have something to say about that. But yeah, VB, I've drunk VB. That's not bad. Jess Phuket, Crower, 234, 244 at 50. Ooh, that's quite a big can. 11.5 to 1 compression streetcar. Wow, what sort of gas you're running in that way? That'll be a beast. 11.5 to 1 compression. That's a bit of bang. But you'd need, like 93 is not going to, that's pretty high for 93. You must be putting some racy gas in it. Barracuda, Foster's in a meat pie. Yes. Well, Foster's makes the meat pie taste better, for sure. Paul Funk, that's funny. I don't like Foster's either. I think they use seawater. That's funny. Beagle Bob, that's strange, Jeff. I have a 7.3 power stroke and I'm finding lots of availability. Does he focus on one manufacturer? There you go. We will see what he has to say. Granddad's junk. It's like DB draft here. It's lolly water. I was always, in my younger days, I was always a DB man, not a Lion Red. And then so many more brands came online. DB is just a cheap beer now. Spates, I used to quite like Spates. That's a good South Island beer. And they had awesome TV ads. The Spates TV ads were awesome. Barracuda, I hate VB, but if someone gave me some, I'd drink it all. There you go. Chavo, don't know if you can get emails on your phone while on here, Kiwi, but I sent you a pic. Oh, there you go. I'll have a look. I can. Let me try and keep up with you and do that as well. Jeff Hutchins, Jess Bouquet, big fan after Crower cams, if not the only one of the only ones who make Mopar cams with the correct wide lobes. There we go. Jess Bouquet, I used to like Sig Urson until they got bought out. Yeah, well. Tavo, Fester's Lager. Yeah, no, it's not. No. Barracuda Handcoop, H101, 265, 50, 15s. They're still available, I think. I would have loved to put something that big on. I would, but I couldn't get wheels to fit the true wire wheels, with a single spin-on nut. It's very minimal sizes available. And I think the only ones I could get were 15.6s or 15.7s. And much as I'd like that 265 of rubber on the road, with 400 horse, it's not a happening thing. Just going to have to drive accordingly, Jeff Hutchins, Beagle Bob, no, but he hates newer Duramax the most. Prefers Cummins, but I learned him up young on 6.9, 7.3 power strokes too. Honestly, we hardly ever have to work on the 12V Cummins. Okay. Well, I had the 24 valve. Yeah, 12 valve Cummins. Yeah, that's just a 2 valve per cylinder. Yeah, I had the 24 valve, and the engine was great. Turbos, went through a couple of turbos. Jess Phuket, we've got a VP Fuels dealer close by. There you go. Now let me just quickly check this. Pacer beer. Oh, look at that. Ha. Let me see if you can. I'll try and make it a bit bigger and see if we can't show you on the camera. Pacer beer, and that there is a Valiant Pacer 4-door sedan. What, look at it, VG-ish. Pace yourself, Fortitude. Look at that. That's fun. I have never seen that before, so thank you, Tavo. Yeah, like we were saying, learn something every day and every live stream. Andy Nickel, I could use a nice steak and kidney pie about now. That'd be nice. That'd be nice. Paul Funk, I've had no issues getting parts for my 97 Ford van. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? It depends what sort of parts you've been getting too. 97, get a passenger door for it. Get a a grill, a hood. That's going to get a bit tougher. Probably the mechanicals are generic enough, to make life a little bit easier. Ford were pretty good about keeping mechanical stuff going through several years, if not decades, of vehicles. Like their wheel cylinders. At one point, I had to get rear wheel cylinders for a 53 Lincoln Capri, which is a pretty rare car. And like AutoZone had them in stock because they were the same as a later, not latest, but later model F-150. There was no, and this, I'm talking like a 90s F-150 had the same wheel cylinders as a 53 Lincoln Capri. So, yeah, some of the mechanical stuff does carry through, but yeah, when you wait till you got to get body parts and glass and stuff like that, that's a bit tougher. Tavo, beer choice isn't really a national thing, but a state by state. Victorians swear by their VB. Excuse me. Queenslanders love their 4X. South Aussies, West End Draft. Western Australians, Emu Piss. Oh dear. Such competition amongst beers, isn't there? Funny what us guys get wound up about. Snow Crushers, Canucks used to say American beer was like screwing in a canoe, fucking near water. Oh, yeah. I got that as I read it. That's pretty funny. I like that. Barracuda, steak and mushroom. Yeah, that's even better. That's even better. Tarbo Gold, love it. Yeah, that is pretty good. Beagle Bob, Jeff, I haven't looked for much OE parts. Ordered some stuff from CNC Fab, Riff Raff today. I think other than sensors, all stuff made in house. Okay. Wow, if you're going to pick a model to have availability or a type of vehicle in the States that's going to have long-term parts ability, it's going to be the truck. F-150, C10, C20, whatever. America does have, and I don't know whether all Americans realize this, but trust me, Americans have a love affair with their trucks, big time, and good on them. The worst things you could be loving on. David Torrey, I'm like you. I grew up on DB and drink VB when I'm in Oz. Mate, it's been a long time since I've been in Australia. Last time I was in Aussie was in the 90s, like mid 90s. I think it was 96. 96, I went to Aussie for the Rugby League Grand Final, and it was Manly versus, I can't remember. It's too long ago. It's 30 years ago. Yeah, it was a good game. And that's where I met Mrs. K. So, yeah. Barracuda 2.8, bugger that. Yeah, bugger that. 2.8, yeah. Well, I don't mind. Yeah, I shouldn't say that, bugger that, really, because I don't mind a low alcohol beer if you're actually, especially if you're actually trying to be responsible and you've got somewhere to drive. You don't have to nurse, a can for an hour, of full strength beer. You can actually drink a couple of cans, and you're kind of at the same place as having one regular beer. So in a social set, like I wouldn't buy it to sit down on a Sunday afternoon and just drink low alcohol beer. That's not what I buy it for. But if I'm out in a social environment, that low alcohol has some merit. It really does, because you can have a few and still keep driving. Like I remember once having like 6 in an afternoon and still good to drive. So, and 6 was enough. 6 cans of beer was enough. Jeff Hutchins, Kiwi, yours was a 24 valve, but more correctly a common rail. Okay, that differentiates it from the 98.5 to 02, which were not common rail. Yours was also a 6.7. Yes, it was. The first common rails were 5.9. Okay. I had the very first of the 6.7s, and had to put a couple of DPF filters on it, particulate filters, which are expensive. One was under warranty, one was not, which was unfortunate, and a couple of turbos. So, Beagle Bob, I don't believe I could name a single Canadian beer brand. I couldn't either, mate, but I'm sure they exist. David Tyree, Queenslanders, that's because they can't spell beers. 4X. That's funny, but it's a pretty old joke. Yeah, it's been around a while, that one. Chris Freemas, and we can't forget Elsinore. Elsinore? Beer. Elsinore. I've heard of Labatt's and Molson, but I haven't heard of Elsinore. Beagle Bob, so you get your steps and go into the bathroom and are too tired to get buzzed. Well, yeah, there's some truth to that, yeah. But you also don't get the old blue and red lights behind you, and get yourself in a ton of trouble. So, as I say, in the right setting, low alcohol beer is not a bad idea. It's pretty hard to get the sort of shit-faced on low alcohol beer. Just forget, I'll stick with my single malt stuff. There you go. A lot to be said for that, mate. Jeff Hutchins, Cummins and Dodge van, 89 to 93, 12V, Bosch V pump. Wow, lots of specs there. 94, 98, 12 volt Bosch pump best. 98 to 02, the 24 valve. Yeah, they have their little issues, don't they? And gosh, the only Cummins I'd know anything about was the one I owned, and I don't know much about that, other than the the other thing. The only other trouble I had with that 24 valve was the what is it? the gas recirculation would always clog up and stop working properly and throw a code. And I know a lot of people were deleting all that stuff and making them a better engine, really. But yeah, as soon as the EPA starts making manufacturers do stuff they don't want to do, that the engine reliability goes downhill. Mileage goes up fractionally, but the reliability goes downhill. Jeff Hutchins, Riff Raff is the place of power stroke parts, and it's here in Oregon. Oh, there you go. David Tyree, hey, I'm pretty old. Yeah, I think a few of us in the room are a little old. Yeah. Hey guys, don't forget to hit that like button. I'm just looked up and see that. We're only up to 32 likes. Come on, there's more of you than that in the room. So it just does help the system, help me. So yeah, if you could, that would be awesome. 4X is now a Japanese beer. Oh, good Lord, really? Yeah, that's not surprising. Japanese make some nice beers, though. I like that Asahi. And what's the other one? Kirin. I quite like Kirin beer. It's quite a nice beer. Tasty. Barracuda. Is it Oregon or just Oregon? Well, it depends which organ you're talking about, really, doesn't it? Jeff Hutchins, EGR, yeah, EGR. That's what was always giving me trouble. Yeah, what you gonna do? I remember being quite fascinated with it, like how clean it ran, in the early days when I had it. I got it new, and it was quite amazing to me just how clean. You could you could put a pair of white gloves on them and stick your hand in the exhaust pipe, and it would come out clean. It was so clean. But then, as the miles crept up, and kind of got north of 100,000. You started to have to pay for that clean tailpipe. David Tyree, Kirin is the company that owns 4X. There you go. I didn't realise that. Okay. Beagle Bomb, I'm happy with Riff Raff. I got a call a few hours after I ordered, and he asked for a picture so we could make sure I got the right version. Oh, well, that's cool. That's customer service. That's good. Jeff Hutchins, got my liking early. Good on you, man. Well done. Snow Crusher, the Japanese bought a couple of Canadian brand beers. Yeah, that's the trouble with corporations now. Everyone's just buying up all the little guys, and you just end up with one board of directors making a bloody obscene amount of money, and a lot of staff making not that much. It's a little concerning. Beagle Bob, seeing more thumbs up than people watching. Yes, that's true, but people come in and out of the room. I've seen more watching it at the same time. But it's different nights are different. Some people come in for 20 minutes and leave. Some people come in for a little bit, go away, come back, go away, come back. So typically it would up. On average, I would say around about 500 or so viewers watch the live. And some of that is like after the fact, they're not watching it live. So, yeah. Tavo, talking about different diesel engines. My transit van has the Ford Puma 2.4. Great engine when they're right, but break anything. Just take the $12,000 van to the wreckers and accept $1,000. Ouch. Yeah, that's hard, isn't it? That's. And I tell you, when it's hard is if you still owe $8,000 on the finance, which that's happened to a lot of people. They've paid, 15 or 20 grand for the van, and they got a bunch of finance on there. A few years later on, it's worth 12 grand. They still owe 8 on it, or 6. Suddenly, it's worth $1 grand. So what do? Sell it for $1 grand and reach into your pocket to pay the finance off, or do you just walk away, run away? A lot of people just walk away and say, "Fuck you, too bad." Which nobody really wins out of that situation. That would hurt deeply. Josh Homan, the Japanese should buy up Foster's. They might make it palatable. Beagle Bob, I've been liking Sweetwater Brewing there in Atlanta. Okay. We got a nice beer here in Tennessee called Hap In, like the letter N, Happen Harry's. And that's a really nice beer. Not promoted in a big way at all. But yeah, it's got a pretty strong following. There's a lot of Tennesseans like it, and I got to say I'm one of them. I might be a ringing Tennessean, but I still like their beer. Snow Crusher, I guess beer is the other topic this evening. It would seem so, yeah. We started kind of getting a bit into the computers there in the first 10 minutes, and then the computer stuff died away a bit. Yeah, we are all car guys at heart, aren't we? After all, and one thing car guys like is beer. We don't all like computers, but I mean, here we are all sat on a computer doing this, but. Yeah. Jess Phuket, Beer Whiz Beer, the beer for weekday mornings. Oh, that really doesn't sound very appetizing. Just beer in the morning doesn't sound very appetizing, let alone Beer Whiz Beer. But anyway, Jeff Hutchins, 99.5 and 000 were the best power stroke years. Intercooled, bigger intake, plenums, and turbo. Still had forged rods. Oh, well, there you go. Volfly's in the room. Welcome along. Welcome back. Where have you been, brother? Yeah, you've been sorely missed, sir. Yeah, and of course the question on everyone's lips is, what was for dinner? Jeff Hutchins, Beagle Bob, yeah, no. 98 F250 HD or F350. Oh, yeah. Paul Funk, discussing alcohol during the holidays is a must. Well, that's a very good point. Yes, you make a good point. Beagle Bob, I had quite a few good local beers when I was visiting in Tennessee. My memory gets a bit hazy, but I know some of them were from a Knoxville brewery. Right, I couldn't tell you where Happen Harry's is, mate, but it's nice beer. Ooh, gosh, I was up early this morning and in at work quite early, so I'm fading a little bit, lads. I'm fading a little bit, but I got 20 minutes in me, so it's all good. Now, Barracuda. I was watching a 1974 movie. A lady was driving a 74 Satellite. The oil light came on, so she pulled into a gas station and asked for a quart top-up. Movies can be done when it comes to cars. Well, yes. Yes. Oh, I tell you, story of needing an oil top-up. I had an F100 in last week or the week before, and it had to put new headers on it, which was a bit of a bear, but got that done. And they were leaking and carrying on, so the new headers on it sounded quite a lot better. And I'm thinking, I was listening to it, and it's like, wow, this engine's clattery, like the lifters are just clattering away. So I thought, I'm going to check the oil level just because. And the dipstick was showing nothing, like nothing on, even if you left it for half an hour to drain, for everything to drain back down, it was showing nothing on the dipstick. And keep in mind, she drove it into me. So it's like, really needs, like when it's that low on the dipstick, it's really not worth topping it up. You might as well just drain out what's left and put fresh oil on it, give it an oil change. So I did that, drained it out. It had a couple of ounces short of a quart in it, and that was including tipping the contents of the oil filter in with the mix. And so it had just genuinely under a quart of oil in the engine, and she drove it to me, and the engine is fine. It's a lot quieter now with 5.5 quarts in it, but it's not making any horrible noises. It didn't blow up. It's not smoking. And I said to it, man, like, you need to go and buy a lotto ticket, because how you survived driving it to me with less than a quart of oil in it is mind-blowing. So the little oil light flash going into the gas station, well, the other thing we fixed on the truck, the oil warning light was not working. So it wasn't coming on. So, I'm sure it would have been flashing at at that point, certainly as soon as you braked or turned around the corner. But the fact that it didn't run the bearings is quite amazing to me. Firefly, here we go. I found the sweet spot in my pork chop brine. 2 cups of water, 1 teaspoon of kosher salt flaked, 4 teaspoons of brown sugar. That would work. Firefly had to cut down on salt intake. Well, you're not supposed to drink the brine. Chris Premier said, Firefly, I was going to ask if you had brined pork chops. Firefly, predictable. Beagle Bob, plus the late 99 had the 17 degree swash plate and a high pressure pump. My E99 is a 15 degree for now. Okay, you started to lose me there, Beagle. You started to lose me. I'm not really a diesel guy. All my cars I work on myself. My diesel truck, took it to the diesel shop, and it's like you get so nasty working on diesels. They're so dirty, but and I don't mind dirt, but I don't know, that the diesel oil, when you get that on you, it just takes it to another level. That diesel dirt is dirty. Jeff Hutchins, Firefly, is it you that still owes me sausages? Yeah, mate, it is. Firefly avoids direct eye contact despite compound eye. That's a trick, isn't it? That's clever. Tavo, I'm just waiting for either a steak and kidney or a steak and mushroom pie. Happy with either. There you go. Mate, well, it must be lunchtime over there, or ish. Beagle, my brother had a 90s Honda. I went to move it around the house to get it out of the way of something. Asked him why the check oil light was on. And he said it's been like that since he got it. Oh, my God. Really? Yeah, there you go. And other times you run them a quart low and they run the bearings. And a warning light doesn't get to come on until it's, until they've gone. And other people can drive it like that since they got it and get away with it. I don't know how that works. I really don't. Firefly. Actually, I never promised sausages as I don't eat a lot of it. Oh, fair enough. Getting technical. So the other off-topic topic is what Firefly's having for dinner. Beagle Bob, he thought it was something that just stayed on since he bought it. But there was no oil in it. He's a good woodworker. Wow, how long did he have it like that? That's insane. Isn't it crazy? Some people can get away with it. Jeff Hutchins, somebody promised me sausage on here months ago. Still haven't got them. I do kind of remember that. And I have to be honest, I thought it was Volfly, but maybe you were just demanding sausages from Volfly and he didn't actually promise it. But I do remember something about that. I just can't remember quite what. Snow Crusher. My aunt had a 70 Torino with a 351 Cleveland. Good setup. The temp light came on, so she stopped at a station, but the guy said it was too hot to check the radiator level, so she kept driving it. Well, the best one is when the aunts were driving it, and they actually managed to notice that the temperature gauge goes up. So 10 points for that. They're actually watching the gauges, and the temperature goes up. But then the temperature starts to. I've heard this on more than one occasion where the comment is that, and then the temperature started to come down. So I thought it was okay. Temperature gauge came down because there was no water in it to actually send the message. So yeah, a lot of people have been caught out like that. Volflow, my dear illusion. All you might get is an undigested piece of sausage, a bit of gristle. Scrooge. Doesn't sound that appetizing, does it really? No. Jeff Hutchins, that's one thing good about old power strokes. You can run low on oil and they shut off. Okay. That's a good idea. Chris Freemason, Jeff Hutchins, that would be Abe Foreman, the Sausage King of Chicago. Oh, please, I hope somebody gets the reference. Not me. Not me. Not me. Volfly. Okay, so directly out of left field from Volfly, my keyboard is worn out. Small price to pay for learning how to type. Okay. David Tyree, I used to get sick of checking the oil in my HJ, so I ignored it until I went around a particularly tight corner and the oil light would flicker, which meant it was time to top up the oil. Well, there you go. See? As long as you're paying attention, it all works perfectly. Snow Crusher, the engine finally seized, even melted the plug wires. My dad got the motor replaced under warranty because it was in the period. Wow, that was lucky. That was lucky. Jeff Hutchins, Kiwi, you don't want to hear about the intricacies of the Ford Power Stroke HPOP, high pressure oil pump. No, possibly not. No. There's only so much storage space in here, and it's getting pretty full. So yeah, I'll take your word for it that they're pretty intricate. How about that? Chris Freemason, I have it on very good authority that Volfly is having a Foster's with his dinner tonight. Oh, you guys are too much. Volfly, pork chops with wild rice, pretty simple. I did have to find some raspberry chipotle sauce. That's good. Raspberry chipotle sauce is good. I will use as a dipping sauce for the next round of pork chops. There you go. Goes very nicely with pork chops. I'm with you there. Jeff Hutchins, I believe it was Volfly. He's just being cheeky. Well, yes, I think you might be right. I think he's reneging there. But it could be fairly hard to hold him to that. Volfly, oh, I needed beer with this, Dan. Well, what type of beer? That's the question everybody wants to know is what kind of beer does Volfly drink? Snow Crusher had another aunt that ran a slant 6 low in oil and threw a rod. Broke the block in half. Yeah. Yeah, you just never know, do you? what some people get away with and what some people don't. It's night and day at times. Vilefly, the only sausage-like substance I sometimes get is bratwurst. Yeah, but I like a bratwurst. Yep. Vilefly, the Power Stroke had issues with injectors leaking down pressure from what little I experienced. Okay. Yeah, I used to have a mechanical shop at the other end of my building, and they did quite a few, a while back, they did quite a few diesels. And they hated the Power Stroke. They said, not me, because I don't know, but they said the Power Stroke was just an absolute disaster. They hated them. They hated working on them more. Said they were very hard to work on. Difficult, but I just went, oh, really? Okay, wow, that sucks. And carried on. Barracuda slant sixes are known to sometimes burn out exhaust valves in number 5 and 6 cylinders because of excessive heat. Do you think a higher flow water pump would be a good idea to alleviate that? Making the water go around faster is not necessarily a direct correlation to lower temperatures. Sometimes you can just move the water around so fast that it doesn't actually get a chance to absorb the heat. The water has to be slow enough to absorb the heat from the engine and going through the radiator slow enough for the radiator to extract the heat from it. So it's a fine line in actual fact, or it can be. And I don't know enough about the slant to know whether that would work or not. You'd really want to, get word from someone who's done it. But I just don't know. I mean, if it's got too small of a water galleries, then the high flow pump is probably not going to help. But if it's been shown that the water, it takes too long for the water to get around, so the water heats up, too much, then a high flow would work. But I don't know. That would be something to try and research on a Slant 6 forum. There is a certain YouTuber that loves his Slant 6s, but and he would have an opinion. Absolutely, he would. Whether it's the right one, I don't know. Don't know. Andy Nickel, just digesting a big fat chicken sandwich with a cup of tea. A cup of tea. Very nice. That's what you need. Vilefly. Boulevard wheat beer is the norm for me, but I'll grab a Newcastle every now and again. Now and then. Okay. Yep, I haven't heard of Boulevard wheat beer, but Newcastle, yep, I know that beer. Had some of them. Beagle Bob, 7.3 was great. Ford had nothing to do with it. Well, there you go. Then the 6.0, they made some decisions. The 6.4 was the worst as far as I know. Yeah. I mean, to me, Dodge actually did it right. They figured out they could build a good truck, but needed a good diesel motor. So they went to someone that just built diesel motors. They went to Cummins, and that was the perfect way to do it, I think. Like Chevy messed around converting 454s into diesel engines, and that was a disaster. To start with a blank sheet of paper and start building diesels is when all you've really built is gas engines. That's a tough ask. There's going to be missteps along the way. So why not, go to someone like Cummins, and say, hey, we need an engine that does this, this, and this, and we want to buy 1,000,000 of them, and get a red hot screaming deal, because I'm sure they did, and suddenly you have a very, very good truck. Jeff Hutchins, I don't remember for sure if it was Vilefly, so a temporary stay of execution. There you go. Diplomatic immunity. There you go. Jess Phuket, carb tuning can fry the valves. Well, yeah. Yep. Vilefly, I found an interesting gift for the wife, a FLIR system for the car. Yep, forward-looking infrared. Okay, that's interesting. So that comes up on a screen or something, and picks up animals in the dark. I've heard something about that. A little pickup deer and stuff like that in the dark. Is that what that is? So the infrared's usually being able to see in the dark, isn't it? So that is interesting. So that's an aftermarket type thing. Hang on. You guys got ahead of me. Hang on a minute. Right, let me try and catch up. Yeah. Hey, Vilefly, if you wouldn't mind, send me a link to that. I'd be kind of interested to see that. Snow Crusher, I've seen where vacuum leaks at one end of a manifold cause burnt valves near the leak. Yeah, well, it'll suck air, so it'll lean out, and then which drives the temperature up. The EGTs start to skyrocket on a lean engine, and Beagle Bob, you're correct, sir. The 6.4 was supposed to fix the 6.0 issues. It only succeeded in being more complicated and developing more issues. POS, when they run, they rip though. Yeah, that's not the first time I've heard that from Ford, honestly. For a Ford guy, they've made some missteps on more than one occasion and more than one engine. David Tyree, so many beers, so little time. That's a problem, isn't it? Vilefly, the FLIR system uses primitive AI to identify humans and animals in the dark. Joseph Zott. What made you a Ford guy? Mate, I don't know, really. No one particular thing. Just had a good run with them. Just found them to be good, and I've told the story many times. I've got the KSV 9000, my, big hot rod Mustang that I've got. That came to be purely because it was the cheapest project I could find when I opened the shop to have something to do and to show what I could do, and it was a Ford, and that's. So if I'm going to say what made me a Ford man, it was probably the fact that I was able to buy a pretty solid Mustang coupe for $850, and turn it into the KSV 9000, which was is a pretty cool car. And the Mustang guys heard about that and started bringing their Mustangs in, and next thing you know, it's 2025, and it's almost the end of 2025, and I've got. How many Mustangs have I got at work right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Mustangs sat at work at the moment. So the Mustang boys just keep coming. Vilefly should be neat to use. Yeah, I'm interested. I'm curious. Barracuda. Tony has used varying heat range plugs in slant 6 depending on the cylinder. Ever heard of doing that before? Tony's used varying heat range plugs in slant 6 depending on the cylinder. Ever heard of doing that before? Yeah, I have, but it's usually a stopgap measure. You know, like if you've got one cylinder that's oiling up, you run a hotter plug in it. But not to cure an overheating problem. I don't believe that would work. No, I don't believe that would work. If you've got an oiling problem, then run a hotter plug. The plug's literally hotter. The oil doesn't accumulate as fast on it, and that can stop. Not a guarantee, but it can stop you fouling a plug. Tony has some very unusual, and I don't want to get into a slangy match about Tony, I really don't, but he does have some odd ideas, like reversing pistons around and stuff like that. He has some odd ideas, and I think some of them work, and I think some of them don't know. But yeah, so I mean, answer your question, yes, I have heard of it, but it's a way to get a few more months out of an ailing engine. It's not a way of curing, a hot water complaint, at one end of the engine. Symptom, I should say, not complaint. Jeff Hutchins. Wow, look at the time, 9:02. Okay, let me just right, it's time to go, almost. Let me just quickly run through these. More about the 6-litre Ford. Max level, great fun, Kiwi. Pan sear your chops in bacon grease. Oven finished and then top with a baked apple. Nice. The all warning light in my dart being the same size as a credit card is a pure coincidence. In the race cars, we used to put big oil warning lights, and we'd have like a 35 psi pressure switch. So it would constantly be on at idle, because most engines are, hot engines will be a bit less than that. But if you were wide open throttle and getting after it and the light came on, no questions asked, no, what's the oil pressure doing? You knew, get off it. No, it didn't happen very often. To be fair, it happened once, saved an engine, absolutely saved it. We were like 8,000 RPM and the oil light came on. It's like, shit, and just off the gas, shut it down. And it had broken an oil line, and it pumped every last drop of oil out of the engine, and the engine was okay. So yeah, that 35 psi warning light switch saved an expensive engine. That was an all forged internals engine with bullet crank, the whole deal, and that was a high dollar engine, and saved it. Chris Freemasser, this is a bit of good advice. You could certainly ask Jamie from Dead Dodge Garage about the Slant 6. His live stream is on Sunday night, 6 Pacific time. Jamie, everything I've seen from Jamie, he does know his stuff. He's, he would be a good source of information. If someone, that would be who I would go and ask that question on. Some of the others, not so much. But Jamie is very down to earth, very real. He's not kind of hyper and looking for controversy. He just gets on and does it. So he will give you some honest. And the thing with Jamie is, if he doesn't know, he'll say, "Look, mate, I don't know," and at least you've got an honest answer. So anyway, what else? Barracuda dropped on his head as a child. Who are you talking about there, Barracuda? I've missed that. I've lost that somewhere in the scrolling of messages. But Firefly got it on Cyber Monday at a discount. Good for you, man. It'll be interesting to see what you think of it, how effective it is. Because Mrs. K does spook, the whole deer thing is like really does spook her. So she gets quite quite stressed about it. Oh, okay, Volfly. I'm going to put the LCD screen on the visor so it can be flipped down on demand. Good idea. Right, yes, we're 5 minutes over, so it's time to crack on. Time to call it a night. What have we got here? Paul Bruno, have a good one, everyone. Snow Crusher, good night. Tavo, adios. Volfly 2000 Caddy had a Raytheon FLIR system that sucked. Well, I won't get one of them then. Thanks for the tip. Barracuda, I asked Jamie and he said he doesn't know. Well, that's what I just said, wasn't it? Well, hey, at least you got a straight answer. Some people you ask, and no matter what you ask them, they'll have an answer. And they're the ones you got to be a little wary of. So at least he doesn't know. So it doesn't really help, but at least it's not sent you down the garden path, chasing something that's not real. So I would get on a Slant 6 forum of some kind. Facebook has endless amounts of forums, and find a good one and pick some people's brains that live and breathe Slant 6s. That would be my advice. But that's it, guys. It's time to go. Time for me to hit the sack, and I'm out of bourbon anyway, so it's time to go. Well, I hope you enjoyed yourself. I know I did, again, as always. So thanks for all your comments. Thanks for the input. Thanks for being part of the group. And yeah, same time, same channel, this time next week. And mate, it'll be almost Christmas. So get that shopping for the wife done, guys. Otherwise, you'll be in trouble. All right. That's my bit of advice for the night. All right. See you later, guys. Have a good one. Take it easy. See you next week.